He stood in front of our executive board, presenting 8 months of my team's work, with his name printed on the final slide. He even paused for the applause. 6 weeks later, he sat in that same room, in that same chair, while the one document he had forgotten about was read out loud to the entire leadership team. An email, his own email, the one where he had ordered the project canceled and called it, word for word, a waste of everyone's time. People asked me if I confronted him if there was some big dramatic showdown in the hallway. There wasn't. I never raised my voice once. I just did the one thing men like him never expect from the quiet person in the corner of the meeting. I saved everything, every email, every date, every decision. And when the moment came, I didn't tell my side of the story. I let his own words tell it for me. I spent 6 years as a data engineer at a mid-sized logistics company. Not a glamorous job, but I was good at it, and I liked the people on my team. 3 of us, plus a rotating intern, keeping the reports running for 200 warehouses. The thing about logistics data is that it's a mess. Every warehouse sent numbers in a different format. Hours were wasted every single week just cleaning spreadsheets before anyone could use them. So, on slow Friday afternoons, my little team started building a tool. We called it Atlas. Atlas took the mess and automatically cleaned it, matched it, and produced in 11 minutes what used to take 3 analysts an entire day. It wasn't in anyone's job description. It was just the kind of thing you build when you actually care about the place you work. By the end of that year, 4 regional offices were quietly asking to use it. That's when the company hired a new director for our department. And that's where this story really begins. Let's call him Grant. Grant arrived with a firm handshake, a wall of framed certificates, and a vocabulary made entirely of words like synergy, visibility, and alignment. He had never worked a day in logistics. That, by itself, was fine. Good leaders learn. Grant was not interested in learning. Grant was interested in being seen. He measured every project by one question only: does this make me look good this quarter? Long-term work bored him. Anything he didn't personally launch was, by definition, a distraction from the things he did. Within a month, he had a nickname for my Friday project. He called Atlas the Science Fair. He said it in meetings, with a little smile, and waited for people to laugh. Some did. You know how offices are? I didn't laugh, but I didn't argue either. I kept my head down and kept building because the numbers were on our side. 4 offices, hundreds of hours saved. I assumed, naively, that results would speak for themselves. I had no idea that in Grant's world, results don't speak. Only presentations do. In March, Grant called a quarterly planning review. Every project in the department listed on one screen, and Grant deciding what lived and what died. When Atlas came up, I had 30 seconds to explain it before he cut me off. He turned to the room and said that side projects like this one were exactly why the department was behind on his roadmap. Then he said the sentence he would come to regret more than any other in his career. He said, "This is a waste of everyone's time, and it ends today." That afternoon, it arrived in writing. An email, to me, copied to my whole team, effective immediately. All work on Atlas is discontinued. All hours to be logged against approved roadmap items only. My 2 teammates were reassigned to other groups within the week. The science fair was over. I read that email 3 times. Then I did something that felt small at the time. I created a folder in my inbox, named it simply Atlas History, and dropped the email inside. It would not stay alone in there for long. Here's what Grant never understood. He thought an email could end a project, but an email is not an ending. An email is a record. It has a date, a sender, and a sentence in it that can be read again, years later, exactly as it was written. Grant spent his career treating words like smoke. Say whatever wins the room today, deny it tomorrow. Paper doesn't work like that. Paper waits. And there was one more thing he didn't know. The vice president of operations, a quiet woman named Carol who had been with the company for 20 years, had seen the Atlas numbers from those 4 regional offices. 2 days after the cancellation, she stopped by my desk with her coffee and asked me one question: how much of it can you keep alive without touching his budget? What happened next was completely legal, completely documented, and completely invisible to Grant. Carol authorized Atlas as a low-priority internal maintenance item under her own operations budget. In writing, 2 hours a week officially logged, plus whatever my own Fridays were worth. One of my old teammates volunteered his lunch breaks. We didn't hide it. It sat right there in the time tracking system for anyone who cared to look. Grant never looked. Looking wasn't visible enough to be worth his time. For 5 months, Atlas grew in the quiet. Every version logged. Every improvement dated. Every status summary emailed to Carol. Short, boring, factual. Into the folder they went. The pilot warehouse cut its reporting errors by 40%. Into the folder. The overtime savings report. Into the folder. I want to be clear, I wasn't planning anything dramatic. I was just doing what careful people do, keeping records. If Atlas died, the records would show what it was. And if it lived, they would show who built it. It lived. In August, the company nearly lost its biggest client. A merger on their side scrambled every shipping schedule we had, and the client demanded corrected volume reports for 200 locations within 72 hours, or they would take their contract to a competitor. The official tools choked. The analysts were looking at 3 weeks of manual work squeezed into 3 days. At 9 in the evening, my phone rang. It was Carol. She said one word that made 5 months of Quiet Fridays worth it: Atlas. We ran the entire client dataset through it overnight. What was supposed to take 3 weeks took 19 hours, checked, and verified. The client stayed. The account manager sent a company-wide thank you note. And suddenly, everyone wanted to know what this Atlas thing was, including, for the first time in almost a year, Grant. Grant moved fast, faster than I'd ever seen him move on actual work. Within a week, Atlas had a new name. It was now the Department Modernization Initiative. It had a logo. It had a slide deck. It had a rollout roadmap. What it didn't have, anywhere on any slide, was a single mention of my name, my teammates, or the small detail that its official project history began with him canceling it. Then came the email that completed my folder. Grant wrote to me directly, asking me to hand over all Atlas documentation and source access to his newly assigned analysts so that, in his words, the initiative can be presented at board level by someone with the appropriate seniority. Read that sentence again. In one email, he confirmed that he knew exactly what Atlas was, exactly who had it, and exactly what he intended to do with it. He was so used to nobody keeping score that he wrote the confession himself and pressed send. I replied with one word, understood. And I handed over every file, because the files were never where the truth lived. The truth lived in the folder, and the folder was about to be requested by someone far above both of us. You see, when a project saves a company's biggest client, the board doesn't just applaud. The board asks questions. Where did this come from? Why wasn't it funded earlier? What else are we missing? And when boards ask questions, they don't ask the man with the slide deck. They order a review, an independent one, run by the Chief Operating Officer's office with full access to emails, time logs, and version histories. Grant saw a stage. I saw an audit. Only one of us was dressed for it. The review meeting happened on a Tuesday morning. Grant presented first. 20 minutes of vision, synergy, and his journey with the initiative. I was invited as technical support, which suited me perfectly. I had exactly 4 slides. Slide 1, the Atlas timeline, every date pulled from the records. The Friday it started, the 4 offices that adopted it. Slide 2, the cancellation, quoted word for word with the date and the sender's name, followed by Carol's written authorization that kept it alive. Slide 3, 5 months of logged hours, version history, and the pilot results. Slide 4, the night we saved the client, hour by hour. I didn't accuse anyone of anything. I didn't use the word credit even once. I just read the record out loud, slowly, and let 200 days of paper do what paper does. Halfway through slide 2, the Chief Operating Officer took off his glasses and asked Grant, very quietly, whether the email on screen was his. It was the longest silence I have ever enjoyed. Grant tried, I'll give him that. He said the cancellation had been a resource prioritization decision. He said his initiative had built on earlier explorations, but every phrase he offered ran into another dated document and the room could read. The review's conclusion was short and formal, the way these things are. Project Origin, my team. Continuous development, authorized under operations. The Modernization Initiative, renamed, and transferred permanently out of Grant's department and into a new tools group under Carol. A tools group needed a lead. I was asked to build it. First hire, my old teammate who had spent his lunch breaks keeping Atlas alive. Second hire, and I promise this is true, Grant's analyst. The one he'd assigned to present my work. She had been uncomfortable with the whole arrangement from day one. I knew that, because she was the one who had quietly made sure certain slide decks were preserved before they could be edited. Grant was not fired. Companies rarely work that way. But the promotion he had built the whole performance for went to someone else. His roadmap was reassigned piece by piece, and 4 months later he announced he was pursuing an external opportunity. The farewell email was 2 sentences long. Nobody replied to it. here is my favorite part of the whole story. On the day the new tools group was announced, the company newsletter ran a short piece about Atlas. The real history this time, Fridays and all. They asked me for a quote. I thought about it for a long while, and I gave them one sentence: "Good work keeps its own receipts." A week later, someone printed that sentence and taped it to the break room wall. As far as I know, it's still there. Right next to the coffee machine, Grant used to hold a court app explaining to anyone who would listen which projects were a waste of everyone's time. Atlas now runs in every warehouse the company owns. The 11 minutes became 4. And every quarter, when the savings report goes out, the version history still shows the same first line it always did. A Friday afternoon, 6 years ago, 3 names on a commit, none of them his. I never argued with Grant. Not once, not in a hallway, not in a meeting, not in a comment thread. Arguing with a man like that is playing his sport, on his field, with his referee. Instead, I learned the lesson I'd pass to anyone dealing with a credit thief: keep the record. Quietly, boringly, from day one. Dates, emails, logs, not as a trap, as the truth, stored where it can't be retold. Because people like Grant only win in rooms where memory is the only witness. Bring paper, and they lose every time. He called my work a waste of everyone's time. In the end, the only thing wasted was the 8 months he spent presenting it. So let me ask you, has anyone ever tried to put their name on something you built? Tell me the story in the comments. I read everyone, and if you believe the receipts always come due, hit subscribe, because here at Karma Fyles, they always do. Next time, a car dealership swore the problems with my brand new car were completely normal and that my warranty didn't cover them. They were very confident, right up until I found out whose signature was on the pre-delivery inspection report.